Much needed bye week for Nebraska. Mickey Joseph, though, meeting the media in the early part of the week. Sean, I want your instant reaction. What was your take? What did you learn on this day?
Yeah, I thought the biggest thing was Mickey Joseph admitted that he managed the game wrong on offense. They had the ball, 12 straight empty possessions. Many of those were very quick 3-and-outs that put their defense back out on the field and, kind of took the whole game away at that point. And I think he said, look, we're going to have to run more of a ball control offense with our running backs and limit the possessions because a 14-possession game against Oklahoma, this team is not built for that.
Yeah, Mickey Joseph in his first appearance as the interim head coach said he realized it at about 35-7, put that on himself. And they also suffered an injury at running back, which is bad news for the Huskers. The silver lining is at least it's at a position of depth.
Yeah, A.J. Allen out for the year, collarbone injury, had surgery. The silver lining is Game 4. You worry, though, like he will be an attractive name for people to poke a little bit and talk to. So, you hope Nebraska, there's no issues there of keeping him here. But A.J. Allen put together 4 outstanding games on film, and he preserved his red shirt. So, he maximized this year as much as he could, considering the injury that happened. But Gabe Ervin Jr. will step in. He ran hard. I was really impressed with how Gabe Ervin came in and ran hard. He was hungry. You could tell he was very motivated to get his opportunity because he hadn't got his opportunity all year to get into a rhythm. It was 2-3 carries and you're out of the game. And I think finally now Gabe Ervin will be in that rotation where it's Anthony Grant for 2, Gabe Ervin for 1, and they'll continue to do that rotation now.
And some poetic justice to Ervin's emergence against Oklahoma since it was last year where he hurt his knee in Norman. Offensive line, Teddy Prohaska out with an injury. He's done for the year. This week will give them a good chance to maybe look at some options up front, don't you think?
Yeah, I just don't know where they go. Last week they played their left tackle and right tackle and their center the entire game. So Trent Hickson, Bryce Benhart, and Turner Corcoran didn't come out. They rotated their 2 guards pretty much 60-40, close to 50-50. What can they do at tackle? I don't know. Could Hunter Anthony elevate? Could somebody else move up there that we don't know about? But that is the question. I think they've got 4 guards they really want to work. The tackle position, though, we didn't see any signs of rotation last week. Brant Banks is another name that might elevate himself in the conversation. Ezra Miller, they've got other guys there, but it just doesn't seem like they have a lot at tackle to really work in.
Yeah, no waiver wire here at the college game. All right, defensively, obviously the big news to start the week was Eric Chenander being relieved of his duties at defensive coordinator. Bill Busch now steps up. What do you expect out of Busch? A very experienced coach, so this job is right in his wheelhouse, I would assume.
I think you'll see a lot of energy. Bill Busch, that's the biggest difference I would say is he's always alive, alert, kind of full of pop, full of juice. And the hope is that can he get these guys, bought in a little bit more? Can they tinker a few things here and there to get better? And can the offense play a different style to help the defense? I mean, I think there's a lot of things they've got to take into account, but they learned the hard way last week. They're like, we're going to try to go in a shootout and go against Oklahoma in a shootout. And that was a disaster on both sides of the ball by trying to play that way against Oklahoma.
Do you see much personnel changing, mixing, matching, trying to look at new faces on the defensive side of the football? One thing Mickey Joseph did say on Tuesday was he kind of wished he got some younger guys in earlier in the game to get something on tape. Do you see any more of those youngsters getting opportunities?
That will be interesting. Some of these positions like linebacker have struggled and safety have struggled.
Up front, too.
Could we see Kane Williams, a guy, I've heard his name mentioned, somebody that could elevate and get an opportunity, just a new face altogether. And that's where Mickey will have that 51% now to make those calls. And Bill Busch, completely new non-Frost guy voices, and they'll have a voice. And that will be an interesting dynamic if they want somebody maybe that the current position coaches aren't as high on, and that's what they're going to have to manage behind the scenes. Like, hey, we can't get much lower than we are right now. We're going to try some new guys and work it from there.
All right, so this week is the bye week. Next week's Indiana week. What do we see Nebraska doing in practice this week and then moving forward with 8 games left?
Yeah, it's Nebraska on Nebraska. It's good on good. It's fundamentals. It's details, physicality. I'd imagine everything this week is full pads. And probably some pretty good live work, what they can get away with. You're limited. I know everyone thinks that you could and should practice full pads live to the ground every day, but you are limited on those days of what you can do in practice. But Mickey will maximize that. I think they realize that they need to get better with full speed during the week in practice to be ready for Saturdays.
And so moving forward, Indiana is the first opportunity. It's another night game. You're coming out of this break, and you get a couple games right off the bat, which on paper you should be able to compete at home against Indiana, on the road at Rutgers.
And really rested. I mean, Nebraska, since Ireland, they've been in their own beds, and they're going to be in their own beds for another couple, 2-3 weeks before they go to Rutgers. So this team should be rested and ready to go, being at home. And, there's still going to be a sellout crowd for these games. You would hope they get up for Indiana because they've got to figure out a way to get a win. I mean, the thought of a 1-11, 2-10, which is a reality, it just doesn't sit well. When we thought 3-9 was the low point, and we're thinking about what the low point could be this year record-wise.
So no game this Saturday. The next home game, the next game for the Huskers, that is, a week from Saturday when Indiana comes to town. It's a 6:30 kickoff on the Big Ten Network.